And we are live.
Only 23 minutes late.
I mean,
I feel like that's pretty good.
We got in the room pretty early though, like by our standards.
Yeah.
So
I let the record show I was 5 minutes late getting into the room.
Yeah, we just started chatting and preparing a great show for you guys, right? Because we care about you guys and we want to give you guys a quality show.
Yeah, this is all planned out. Mm-hmm. So when it goes wrong, blame the plan, not us. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how are you guys? I see
what up, chat?
I see there's some of you already in here. How are you guys feeling? We're 3 days away from the big day. So
big day.
How are we feeling about that? How are we feeling in general? I'm feeling pretty good about it overall. We'll get more into that during the show, but yeah. Playoff Seahawks, baby. That's right. The first official playoff overload. Well, I guess Sunday night was the first official playoff overload, but since the reboot, at least.
Yeah, because I think Griff and I did a podcast after Devontae Adams managed to roast
Ugo,
and Jimmy Graham managed to roast Leno Hill, and
I forgot Leno Hill played in that game.
Yeah, they tried everything. It's just there was too many mismatches on the field. It's the classic playoff thing of, oh, well, you're going to leave Devontae Adams in single coverage? I will throw it up to him. Oh, Jimmy Graham is in single coverage? We will throw it to him. And they couldn't get pressure and
yeah.
Another Ken Norton Jr. did nothing wrong game.
There we go.
Although
Nah, K&J was coaching his MF socks off, so
he was. Oh, I like this.
Well, Matty is 8 or 9 hours ahead of us, so technically he's always early.
Yeah, I'm always coming early.
Or I'm just gonna ignore what you just said. Or he's 8 or 9 hours late.
No, that's you. Although not you, because you're East Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know how many people realize that your zip code is.
Oh yeah, that I'm up in Canada land. Yeah.
And your address.
Actually, yesterday when I was interviewing that guy from the Mariners, he was like, I told him I was from Toronto, and he was like, just mind blown by that. I'm like, dude, it's like,
why would you be in Toronto and support the Mariners?
Yeah.
What's going on here, buddy?
What is this,
buddy?
You rat bastard! Like, why aren't you a Blue Jays fan? Yeah.
But I know my baseball. There's a bit of a rivalry, right?
Between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a rivalry if they could beat the Seattle Mariners in the playoffs.
Oh, you didn't have to do them like that. Ty.
Blue Jays catching a stray on Seattle overload. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Scott. It's a postal code here. You filthy
Actually?
Brit. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. We use postal codes too.
Yeah. We got letters. We got letters.
Postal code brothers.
Yeah, let's go. How many letters or how many numerals are in your postal code?
7.
There's 6 here.
But sometimes 6.
Oh. Wait, why?
Yeah, where I live now is 6. But
it's just based on the town.
7.
It's based on the town, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Gotcha. Weird.
Maybe because I don't know. Maybe because there's more smaller settlements. I don't know.
Christopher Standard Time says with an Astros fan here in the chat. Christopher, you say Astros in here one more time, you're gonna join all the 49ers fans in the timeout zone.
Why? I thought the Astros were good. They won some stuff, right? What's wrong with them?
I don't want to do this with you. It's
Okay.
too soon. It's still too soon. The wound is still too fresh.
If you are looking for baseball chat, you should check out Ty's other podcast, where he's been doing it much longer than this podcast. Ty, what is that podcast called?
It's called the Locked On Mariners podcast with Ty Gonzalez and Colby Patnode.
Wow.
On YouTube and other podcast platforms. I'm the star though. Really, all that matters is that
you're the talent.
I'm on the show. Yeah, I'm on the show. Colby's just there to let me catch my breath, drink some water, all that stuff. But I'm the talent of the show.
Damn, I know how he feels. That's a tough one, but that's how it goes sometimes. Cool. And I did get my coffee. Thank you for asking, 509 Adventures. I'm drinking it out of my dirty Seahawks on Tape mug.
No, it's very clean. It's very clean. It looks very clean.
Pristine white.
Yeah.
Need to wipe or wash. But Seahawks on Tape is Matty F. Brown's Seattle Seahawks Substack, where you can find my analysis on Seahawks X's and O's, one article per week on the schematic major talking point from that game of the Seahawks, and we will soon have draft coverage. Please do subscribe for free to get every single post in your email. And if you do like, you can become a paid subscriber and access exclusive parts of the articles, exclusive materials that I learned from. Thank you very much.
You're sounding more and more like Paul McCartney as that ad was going on.
Paul McCartney? That's funny. I wasn't going for that, but I can see how you got there with that. Yeah.
It just got very like Paul McCartney over the course of it. So I was doing a bit of reading today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to read about how you should win forever. Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you though. Hold on, let me get to the part real quick. Yeah, have you emailed at Pete Carroll at winforever.com? Have you emailed him your philosophy?
No.
He said he would love to hear your philosophy in 25 words or less. Fewer, Pete. Fewer, not less. Fewer. It's plural, it's fewer.
But Ty, particularly when a book is ghostwritten, I have a feeling that perhaps there is an inclination to try and add the voice of the the speaker into the text. And would Pete Carroll ever say fewer, or would he say less? It seems very Southern Cal to be grammatically incorrect in that instance.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
Silly of me. As well as the vision you created. That's what he added there at the end.
When I was stalking Pete Carroll USC Bear front usage rates and stuff like that, and looking at Jetty images of every single game he'd called at USC, where there's a surprising amount of high quality pictures of his play sheets, so you can see instances of when they ran Bear. Then you can watch the games on YouTube or try and get all 22 of the game, which is very difficult, but may or may not have been managed. Anyway, when I was doing all that, there used to be this thing called Pete Carroll Mobile, where he had...
Is that like the Jeremy Renner app?
I think it was before apps. It was like 2007. I think you get your Pete Carroll ringtones.
Pete Carroll ringtones?
Yeah.
What would it be? What would the ringtone be?
I have no idea. Because it's all on the web archive, so you can't... It's long gone, sadly, because that'd be in high demand right now. But I need to. I want
a Pete Carroll ringtone.
Hell yeah!
Yeah.
It was. I don't know if he was like singing the Trojans fight song or something. But anyway,
that'd be incredible. That'd be incredible.
I need to find it. I did post about it, but no. Anyway, it'd have been like one of my 5 a.m. posts.
Gotcha.
Right. Should we do the podcast? Because Pete Carroll Mobile is not going to come up.
Should we do the podcast? That is the question. Chat, should we do the podcast? Or should we make you guys wait longer?
Thank you, Rohan. We're excited to do draft stuff too. Griff's already started doing it because he's deranged.
Yeah, Griff is like going crazy on the draft. It's almost as if the Seahawks, got eliminated last week.
I think Griff's protecting himself from the hurt. He's been doing that for a bit now. He's sort of trying to escape from the present,
Is Griff even a real 12? I think it's time to have that conversation, folks.
Yeah, it's fair. It's a conversation. You're just asking questions. You're not like not stating, one way or the other. No. You're just saying,
I would never say that Griffin Sturgeon is a fake Seahawks fan who only cares about the draft and only cares about pushing his agenda. I would never say that.
No. Some people might.
Some people might, but not me. Not me. I'm his friend, obviously.
Right.
I mean, you're no longer friends, I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, that was weird. Like weird. Yeah, again, I feel he's trying to protect himself from the Seahawks, maybe.
Right. Distancing himself because he's not capable of giving you the attention that you need right now. And it's not you, it's them.
Have you seen that I've become a reaction meme?
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah. Shout out to was that Greg Bell who posted that video?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just didn't get it because that was a crucial part of the game, and all these people start singing "Country Roads." Now, call me Scrooge, but come on now, let's get our first down stop.
You sound very American right now, Matty. I think you need to take a step back and check your privilege.
No, I actually think I'm a privileged European who's very used to synchronized singing. And so when I sort of took it for granted that Americans are trying to, they're surprised by the fact that a whole body of fans can sing a song at the same time, which isn't USA or, something like that. They can actually sing lyrics to a song.
The crazy thing about that, though, is that we do sing songs here, though. It doesn't happen as often, but it does happen.
Well, Pete Carroll was blown away. I noticed the Seahawks in their last game, actually at home, they tried to get "Hey Jude" going.
Oh, did they really? I didn't even notice that.
They didn't. It didn't. I don't think. But "Hey Jude's" a great one because, my soccer team, Newcastle United, they sing it because they're like,
oh, there you go.
Because you can be like, na 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 Geordies, which is what you call someone from Newcastle, a Geordie, right?
A Geordie, all right.
You could be like Seahawks, and then it would be really good, and everyone could just sing it on the chorus. You could loop it over. But that requires a bit more individual thought than I think that perhaps you Americans are willing to do.
I mean, the Kraken do that with Lithium by Nirvana. They play whenever they score, they do the part like, I like it, let's go Kraken, and the whole crowd sings it.
That's actually dope.
Yeah, it's tight.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, it's tight.
That sounds really good.
Yeah. So we do a little bit of it here. It's just I was very surprised by that.
You're defending your country.
Yeah. I'm sticking my dukes up. I'm trying to go down with the ship, at least a little bit. But I was pretty surprised by the reaction from Pete and everyone. They were like, "What is this?"
Well, what was awesome was I posted the video at the time, but what was awesome was Seattle's lost the game, right? It's kneel downs, but Bruce Irvin's just he's dancing in a Bruce Irvin fashion to Country Roads, vibing out to it. That was cool.
Nice.
That sucks though. Country Roads, when the two West Virginia players on the field are, I don't think Tampa Bay have any, but they were Geno obviously and Bruce.
Yeah.
Ah well.
That's sad. That would have been.
And for those who don't know, West Virginia is my college team of preference. So
that's right. How many national championships have you won with West Virginia and NCAA football 14?
I think we're at 14 in a row. It's real bad. It's bad.
Damn, you were.
I've decided to like every now and again. I'm like, this is a waste of time because I should probably like build an actual playbook or work on a 15-minute video on step kick press technique for defensive backs, rather than a virtual game.
How have you tried to build a playbook? How far have you gotten? If so.
Well, building a playbook's very difficult because you sort of have to adapt it to your players. But like in my mind, there's lots of things that would be cool to do. But then at the UK level, you sort of have to make that very basic, and then it's how do you adapt? Yeah. So long answer short, yes.
Yeah. Gotcha. All right, let's do the podcast.
Right, let's go. Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where the Seahawks are still in the playoffs. Yes, nothing has changed from our Sunday jubilation. And so we have our wild card, because that's what the Seahawks are in. Wild card news, roundup, and chat. Ty,
and also because that's what we are. We're wild cards, baby.
Wow, there we go. Ty, how excited are you?
Very excited. Very excited to be here. Both on the show and in the playoffs, of course.
I mean, it's tough being a Seahawks fan, right? Like they missed the playoffs 1 year. Like that's difficult.
Yeah, I mean that's really difficult. Having to take these gap years, which it's been 4 in the Pete Carroll era, but then we just get right back to it. So it's okay in the end. That alleviates at least some of the pain from the previous year. Yeah, I mean, it's really tough being a Seahawks fan, going to the playoffs, 10 times out of 13 years or however many it's been at this point. So,
yeah, I think we deserve this,
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, I think we've earned this, right? Don't you guys, chat?
So, I was feeling particularly petty, and I went through all of the replies I got in the off season saying that people telling me to go seek help.
Right. Yep.
That sort of stuff. People, there was tweets saying that Pete Carroll should be crucified.
Right.
Yeah, just your standard, normal
football analysis
reaction. Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
So it is very cool.
Wait, Seattle sports Twitter overreacting about the people in charge of their favorite team? Crazy.
I think Pete Carroll has more than earned the benefit of the doubt now.
I would say so too.
I don't know if you can call it Schadenfreude, but it's similar. There's probably a very long German word for the sensation that is being felt now.
We'll just say it is. We'll just say that it is, just because it's really fun to say. So, yeah.
Schadenfreude.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the vibes around the team are very cool.
It kind of sounds like Schottenheimer, right? So.
Oh, too soon, Ty. Although.
Oh.
He may be. Is he got a job? Is he?
I don't think he has a job. I don't think he's coaching for anyone. Yeah, I hear there's a coaching opening in Denver right now.
Yeah, that's well. Maybe we can talk about that a bit later. But for now, the Seahawks vibes are very cool. The official team account tweeted out a video which starts with Geno Smith dancing,
right,
doing the griddy, kind of.
It's like a really lazy griddy. I'm gonna be real about it. I'm pretty disappointed in this griddy from Geno. I won't go this far, but he's he had me pretty close to saying that Mike Gesicki has a better griddy than him, which is devastating. That is devastating. It looks like
he's wearing I don't know what he's wearing, like training shoes, like weightlifting shoes, I think. So maybe that impacts his griddy. I don't want my quarterback doing. I mean, heck, Adam Schefter, notorious athlete himself, didn't he tear his? He's had something doing the griddy.
Wait, doing the griddy? Of course he did. I mean, Geno, why can't we do another TikTok dance, like a different TikTok dance, like the Renegade? We all love the Renegade here.
Yeah, Schefter tore his meniscus doing the griddy.
He really?
Yeah.
That's not a joke. That's not like an Onion article.
Oh my gosh! And it happened January 6th. Wow. Wow.
That's great. That's lovely content. Big fan of that.
Anyway, my point being, Ty, the gritty is fine that Geno is not exerting himself, but what makes the video very cool is then to the right of screen, Pete Carroll comes in on a scooter.
Yeah, Razor scooter.
Is white with light blue trim, and he scoots past.
I think someone actually identified the scooter. So it's not like a Razor scooter, but it's like a there's some brand, I think. But dude, he's whipping that thing. Like he's not just like slowly, you know, like going about it. Like he hit that corner pretty hard.
Yeah, he was a menace. He had places to be, meetings to attend. You know,
like he almost like took out Laquan Treadwell.
Yeah, because that's the other guy in the shot. Laquan Treadwell is sort of.
D is also there. D Eskridge is also in there.
He's doing like a very lazy Saturday Night Fever kind of thing, or not even that, just little.
He's doing I think he's doing the Antonio Brown thing. From when Antonio Brown performed, where he was doing that. So that's unfortunate.
What do we call that? The windscreen wipers?
I guess. Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
We'll go with
Less
that.
said about him. Okay. So the point being, the vibes around the team seem very, very relaxed. They're very excited about having another chance to play football. Basically, where they're a national underdog. No one's picking the Seahawks.
Yep.
The opening line is crazy. I think I saw it at 10 points, and they've got nothing to lose. And what's more dangerous than a Pete Carroll team where like the defense is given no chance, the offense is told that they're not going to be able to score points? Not much. And every time they've had nothing to lose in games, they do tend to play it closer than we expected. Now, the second time they played the 49ers tie was, in Pete Carroll's eyes, I think, a bit closer than we thought, perhaps. Like, it never felt like they were close, even though the game was kind of close.
I mean, it was 21-6 for most of the game, and then they scored like a garbage time touchdown, and that made it, one score game at the end of it. So I don't know. That feels like a little skewed.
But then
the bus, like I don't know. Like you guys seem pretty, like you guys didn't seem like you were okay with it after watching the tape. So
yeah, it's more the offense looked like they were never going to do anything. That was the problem.
Right. And I mean, they were a bit understaffed on defense in that game as well, and they're going to be a little bit better equipped, it seems. We'll get into the injury report and all that. Well, I guess. Well, no Jordan Brooks. Yeah. Never mind. Ignore what I said. So, I mean, defensive line at least, because like Al didn't play in that game, right?
No.
And Shelby didn't play in that game, right?
No.
Was that the game that Shelby missed? Yeah. So like they'll have those guys at least. But yeah. But the
vibes around the team,
Brooks,
the vibes around the team are dangerous, and despite all the losses, and that, I think the losses and the new role players who are emerging, like Jonathan Abram, it kind of adds what have we got to lose, Phil? They weren't, like Abram wasn't supposed to be here, so he has nothing to lose, and that is dangerous.
Yeah, no, it is. And I mean, like we saw that with the Saints game all the way back in 2010. It was a pretty similar situation in terms of just like, no one even thinks that it's going to be close. And I tweeted a couple days ago, like the Seahawks have to be very unhinged to win this game. And I'm talking like wolf gray jerseys on action green pants type of unhinged, like that like really, really massively unhinged to win this game. Because I mean, with all the injuries they've suffered, there's obviously just the general talent gap, there between these two teams. But yeah, it seems like they're loose this week, and that's good. And you see it in that video. Like they're like I also tweeted last night. Like the more that I watch that video, the more I feel like they might mess around and actually do this thing. So who knows? Like they seem like they're having fun, right? And they're just enjoying just kind of being here, and we'll see what happens.
They would in some ways be a statistical outlier. So as much as it's fun to say, it's hard not to beat it's hard not to lose to a team 3 times in a row, or especially in a season, or beat a team 3 times in a season. Obviously, Seattle's lost the last 2 games against San Francisco in the regular season. The data from past years is not favorable to them, which again, I mean, is that actually surprising? No. If you want to be a Debbie Downer, fine. So, and we do pride ourselves on being realistic here rather than purely optimistic. So the 49ers,
there's a bit of cope. There's a bit of cope.
Yeah,
not
from us.
We're known. Well, not from us. That's right.
Yeah.
Not from this. Not from the 2/3 of this podcast, but the one that is missing, the 1/3 that is missing. There's quite a bit of cope.
Yeah. So the 49ers will be the 25th team in the Super Bowl era to go 2-0 versus a team in the regular season and then play them in the playoffs. In the past, from those 24 other games, those teams are 14-10 in the third game, with the Niners losing last year to the Rams.
Only 14-10, huh?
14-10 is all right, isn't it?
I mean, that's pretty good, but that's not like, I don't know. That's I kind of feel like, especially in these situations, because there is such a huge, like there's oftentimes such a huge talent gap between these two teams, that it would be a higher win total.
However, Ty, the teams that hosted the third game, 13-6, so that skews it a bit.
Gotcha.
So that's 6. So the 6 teams who went 2-0 in the regular season against an opponent and then lost at home in the playoffs in that third meeting in the Super Bowl era are 2020 Saints versus Bucks, 2007 Cowboys versus Giants, which we covered on Sunday because obviously that was the start of the Giants' fairy tale Super Bowl run. 2004 Packers versus Vikings, 1998 Cowboys versus Cardinals, 1994 Vikings versus Bears, 1969 Raiders versus Chiefs. So, I mean, those odds aren't awful, but I mean, like we said, while it would be cool for Seattle to do it,
it's gotta happen sometime. It's gotta happen sometime. So why not now? Hey, why not us? Why not us, Matty?
Yes, and look at this: 1994, 1998. That's 4 years in between. Then wait a bit: 2004, 2007, 3 years in between. Then 2020. Why not 2022?
Exactly.
Because then this is very advanced analysis, but okay, it skipped 2010, but the 2010s, but that is a weird whatever. But 1994 to 1998 is 4, then 2004 to 2007 is 3, then 2020 to 2022 is 2.
So wait, who did it in 2020 again? Who was the last one to do it?
Saints versus Bucks. So I imagine.
So the Bucks beat the.
Because Ray.
Okay, and then 2007 was the Giants, right?
Yeah.
So both of those teams went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So what I'm saying is, beat San Francisco. I mean, like, one could make the argument that San Francisco is the best team in this field, even though that they're the second seed. One could make the argument that they are the best team. So if you beat the best team, I mean,
no. Well, from what you've seen from them and the way they've handled the injuries to their key players, and then the fact that Deebo Samuel's now back, McCaffrey's like got through some stuff he was managing. Elijah Mitchell suddenly looks like a threat. Like, they're stacked. They're actually stacked. Their offense is stacked, and then what their defense is like, where they've been blessed with relatively good health on the defense, which obviously helps. But like, the big hope is like, there's no way that Waldron can call another bad game. Like, the plan against them last time was like no under center. It was like all shotgun, if you remember, which was like absolutely confounding. It just did not make sense. The difference between that game and now is that Seattle seems to have found more of a run game and more under center formations and looks. So hopefully, cope-wise, hopefully that makes a difference. Obviously, against the Jets, they started the game with some clever under center runs against the Jets front, which is almost as talented as the 49ers, but more importantly, plays in a similar schematic style and structure as Robert Saleh's defense as D'Amico Ryans is. So that is a big learning moment, I think, for Seattle, and hopefully they'll find some similar success, even though they did sort of melt down in the second half against the Jets. But maybe they can learn from that too. Cope.
Yeah,
it'll be fun. Enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to
night,
it.
Have a few beverages, few nice snacks.
Yeah, I'm excited. The Seahawks are back in the playoffs. That's a lot of fun. It's really cool that they made it here, like this year of all the years. Especially where, a lot of folks thought they were going to end up being. So this is cool. This is really cool. This is all just, gravy for me, really, because like I'm very happy with, this year and how this year went as a whole and some of the developments that we saw. And so, yeah, this is a success to me, no matter what. I know though that it is going to get weird on Twitter if this game does not go well, especially if the offense doesn't perform great. Things are going to get really annoying about the Geno conversation for the next couple months.
I don't necessarily because I think Seattle's in their mind they want to extend Geno, which
yeah.
But my positive spin on if Geno not necessarily struggles, but like the production stays like there's been a second half decline for a multitude of reasons, most of them not on Geno's shoulders, most on the supporting cast sort of falling apart around him. But like there are a few process things that we've pulled up in the Tape podcast and past episodes. Anyway, my positive spin is that just makes the contract more team friendly in the cap kind of stuff. I want Geno to get his money, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But from a roster building standpoint, it's actually probably a positive in the long term for Seattle. That's very Copey as well.
That's very Copey. And boot licorice.
No. I want Geno to get as much money as he wants, and he still will.
No, you're Jody Allen's super fan, Matty F. Brown.
I will not accept this. He also turns 33 in October, so I'm sure the team will have protections on all of this stuff, as I said in my article on him at Seahawks on Tape. Right.
But yeah,
by the way, Ty, sorry, I won't accept this. I wrote before the Jets game that the Seahawks must pay Geno Smith and extend him. So
hogwash.
I'm a big Geno Smith supporter, and obviously in the preseason I said 12 plays, which shows Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith is primed to prove doubters wrong.
No, I remember you saying Drew Wu should be the guy. They need to go with Drew Wu, or else they're going to go 3-14.
I remember saying that Geno started as like a jokey tweet about Russell Wilson in 2021. That Geno came into the offense rusty, and then Geno dunked on me.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I remember. Yeah,
that's right. So you are a Geno hater, obviously.
Yeah,
there's documented proof.
Yeah.
He thinks you're a hater. It's kind of funny that just to all jokes aside here, it is pretty funny that he did dunk on one of his biggest supporters.
He didn't know.
You didn't know, but the irony in that is
right
really
there
funny.
Is the problem with Twitter. It's all out of context. It's all little snippets, and
that's right.
How well, right.
Well, now starting next month, we can add all the context we want. 4,000 character tweets. God. All right.
Great.
Let's move on.
But Ty, if if Pete Carroll wears a hat on Saturday, the Seahawks are going to win, right?
That's correct. That's correct. As per the definitive Pete Carroll fit tracker on sheets.com, docs.google.com rather /spreadsheets. Yeah, I made I'm crazy. And
yeah, this is deranged stuff.
I admit it. I'm not gonna play around here. I'm not going to cope here. I don't know what got into me that night, but you and I, well, I mean, like, obviously I saw you and John Boyle talking about it, about him wearing a hat, and Boyle said that he did wear a hat another time during a 2010 game against the Cardinals, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then, like, you and I have talked amongst ourselves about Pete wearing gray and how I always feel like they lose whenever Pete wears gray. And so that inspired me to do some digging. And then all of a sudden that turned into that's on the screen, that monstrosity there that's on the screen right now. The Pete Carroll, the definitive Pete Carroll fit tracker, that is, where I went through every single regular season and postseason game and marked down every single color and style of shirt or top that he wore, and then compiled all the times that he wore it and the records in which for each clothing item. How did I do this, you might ask? By going on Imagen.com. That's IMAGN.com. And searching for photos from every game. So I had the ESPN schedules pulled up on one tab, and then Imogen on another, and I would just search Pete Carroll and then the opponent name. And for 2010, I'd just go all the way back to the last page and essentially look to see if there was a photo there that lined up with the date of the game and confirm what he was wearing, and then log that. And then for some of the games where there weren't any photos, like for instance, their 24-21 loss to the Dolphins in Miami in 2012, we all remember that game, one where Russell Wilson completed like 18 passes in a row or something crazy like that, and tied a franchise record. Yeah, that game. There were no pictures of him, so I had to go on YouTube and look at highlights and try to find a shot of him. And you know what? I did, and he was wearing this long sleeve white quarter zip thing that he wore, if you remember, during the Fail Mary game. You guys all remember I'm sure you guys all have the image of Pete Carroll burned in your brain of him, raising his hands, pumping his fists when they called it a touchdown. So that shirt, what he was wearing there, he was wearing in Miami as well. Or the Leon Washington game. There were no images of Pete during the Leon Washington game. Of course, the game where Leon Washington returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns against the Chargers to beat Phillip Rivers and Norv Turner and the Chargers. There were no pictures of Pete in that game, so I had to go on youtube.com and find a shot of Pete there. And he was wearing a navy hoodie, which he wore in his first game with the Seahawks against the 49ers.
And he wore in Super Bowl 48 when they won.
That's right. And, funny enough, though, the shirt that he's worn the longest, the long sleeve tee, and obviously he's worn many iterations of it, but the navy long sleeve tee, he's worn that 74 times, won a lot of games in there, lost the Super Bowl though.
Yeah,
in it,
and the tie.
And the tie, had the tie. Yeah, so that's wearing that shirt down in Arizona specifically has not worked out particularly well for Pete. But so if what all this data says, essentially, the purpose of this data, if we compile all of this and study it
may suggest that things aren't okay at home. So is everything okay at home, Ty?
Yeah, I'm definitely not being held hostage. Okay, if I was being held hostage, I would say the words, "I'm being held hostage. Please send help. Here is my address. It is," but I wouldn't say that because I'm not being held hostage right now. Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not to fulfill anyone's sick Pete Carroll related fantasies or anything like that. Definitely not. Definitely not. But yeah, if we compile,
there are people out there like that.
That's right. But not me.
Sometimes right.
And not
sometimes
not anyone that
friends, you know.
That's right. And certainly not me, and certainly not anyone that might be, just a little bit out of frame right now on camera. There's definitely not a gun pointed at me right now.
Whoa.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not.
Terms of service.
In terms of service, yeah, definitely not. Okay, so if we compile all this information, we can determine that Pete Carroll should wear a hat on Saturday for the most optimal fit on Saturday. Pete Carroll should wear a hat because he's 2-0 in a baseball hat, and he should wear a navy hoodie because he's 45-21.
You going with sample size?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, well, firstly, I have a question.
Okay.
2 questions. What is... So, okay, 3 questions. Is the raincoat like the big, like, overcoat thing? You know, like with the Seahawks logo,
yeah.
Okay,
that,
okay.
Yep.
Secondly, is the mock... What is a mock neck?
It's like kind of a turtleneck, but it's looser. It's like it's kind of like halfway up on the neck.
It's like dog collar thing.
And he only wore that in 2010 or 2011. It was like this thing. It was back when it was still Reebok. It was a Reebok one.
That sounds really nice.
And all it had was like the NFL equipment little logo right on the collar. And that was it.
I know the one. Great description.
There you go.
And then thirdly, a long sleeve polo. Like this is polo shirt material and it's long sleeve.
It's long sleeve, and so it has these little white like things near the shoulder. There's like a little white like stripe.
That sounds fire.
Kind of on the shoulder.
Clearly not fire though. 1 of 3. So
that was another Reebok one.
Yeah, sounds like it. So I would like baseball hat, and then it's been played fairly early, like midday heat in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we get him a white mock neck. Bring that back.
Right. Okay. Yeah, he's 1-0. It's 1-0.
And that's a W.
Or a gray windbreaker. Now, he's not very good in gray hoodies, but gray windbreakers, 1-0. And
which is what he was wearing that with the baseball hat.
With the baseball hat. That's the game.
The 2010 Cardinals game where it rained.
And it's going to be raining in Santa Clara, apparently. So there we go. I think we've cracked the case that actually the most optimal fit for Pete Carroll on Saturday is to bring back the gray windbreaker with the baseball hat. And obviously you need a windbreaker because like 11-mile-per-hour winds apparently expected in Santa Clara.
Really?
Wow. You gotta protect yourself, right?
Oh no, yeah. Maybe you could get the mock neck underneath that.
Yeah, there we go. We can get a mock neck underneath it. Maybe even a camo hoodie. Support the troops, of course.
So Ty, I'm a bit disappointed you didn't do research into the pants.
The pants. I mean, well, I think we can just assume that it's either going to be, some sweatpants or khakis.
But there's different colors, pal.
Are there?
Sometimes
I mean,
you get the waterproof trousers as well.
That's true. We do. All right. So
I think you wasted your time here.
Maybe we can even get more sick with it. Maybe we can maybe what we're learning here today is that this can even get sicker than it already is.
Yeah, and what about the Air Monarch colors?
All the shoes. We can get all the shoes. We can get like if he's worn glasses during a game potentially. I think he's worn glasses in a couple of games.
When he's feeling particularly studious.
Yeah. We could even include the game where he got bopped on the nose against the Saints. Include the bandage.
Oh yeah, bandage P.
We could have a bandage column.
Yeah. Right. Big game.
Yeah. So there's there could be layers to this, right? This is only the beginning. Basically, what we're saying is
there are layers. What t-shirt was he wearing underneath some of this stuff?
Right.
You kind of need to get into
that I'm gonna need sources for. So if you know Pete Carroll, or if you are Pete Carroll himself, please reach out and let's hammer this thing out.
Yeah, because clearly there's a science to this.
Yes. And so
if you're about competition, you should want to dress to compete.
We talk about win forever, right? This is how we figure out how to never lose a football game again. We have to find the optimal fit. And once we do, the Seahawks will never lose again.
No. Well, that's perfect news. Great stuff.
Right?
I'm very happy for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Word on Ty. I'm a bit concerned about you, but that's okay.
I'm definitely not being held hostage. Just to reiterate, I am not being held hostage. I am totally doing this of my free will. Definitely.
Yes, this is for the passionate Seahawks fans, for those who want scheme and not hot takes. You're right, Anthony Pasquale. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Injury report.
That's definitely an intro that we chose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Injury reports. Seahawks did not participate in Wednesday practice.
Can you read it in the way that I like it?
That sounds weird when you say it like that.
I meant to say it. I meant to say it like that. Yeah.
Okay. Guard Phil Haynes, ankle, did not participate. Running back DJ Dallas, ankle, quadricep, did not participate. Cornerback Xavier Crawford, hamstring, did not participate. Defensive end Shelby Harris, knee, did not participate. Running back Kenneth Walker III, ankle, did not participate. Guard Gabe Jackson, not injury-related resting player, did not participate. Nose tackle Al Woods, Achilles, not injury-related resting player, did not participate. Do you want to talk about these people? These players?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's a lot of did not participates. But most of it is like resting, right? Like guys like Ken Walker.
It's been worse in past weeks.
Like it's been way worse. And for the most part, like the guys like Ken Walker and Al Woods, that's mostly just resting guys, right?
Yeah.
So they're probably going to get back to practice tomorrow or the next day. So nothing to be too concerned about.
The Dallas news is a bummer because he'd obviously emerged as like the Wildcat package they were doing with him.
Yeah,
so working a bit, and that would have been a wrinkle, like hoping that he didn't throw a pick like the first game against the 49ers, but like that seemed like something they had found, so that sucks.
So I wanted to ask you about that actually, because in my tweet about how unhinged the Seahawks need to be on Saturday, I got a lot of people saying like, yeah, I want to see Wildcat, I want to see all this stuff. And some people that were theorizing that they were doing the Wildcat on Sunday against the Rams to kind of prepare to do it on Saturday. What do you think about that? Do you think that we could still, even with Dallas out, if he does miss this game, do you think we could see quite a bit of Wildcat?
Well,
why that works? Worth it?
Why
I think that's the more.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about why that worked on the film pod tomorrow. But like, the 49ers play, they play quarters defense, right? Like the Rams, but the way they build their front is like an over front most of the time with width, rather than what the Rams do, which is kind of like a weird under kind of front. Basically meaning that it works probably better against the Rams defensive structure than the 49ers. But I mean, they have to do everything. And if it works once, then you go no huddle, you try and run the play again, and you hope that Geno Smith doesn't false start because he was talking smack to Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. So probably not as effective, but there are wrinkles you could do to try and make it a bit more effective. But then if Dallas is out, and I mean, he's rolled his ankle again, it seems unlikely that he's going to be able to play, but we'll see.
Where's Ronnie Brown when you need him? We need Ronnie Brown. What is Ronnie Brown up to right now?
I don't know. You can Google that.
Or Cadillac Williams. Isn't Cadillac Williams? Didn't he become a coach?
Yeah,
isn't he like a head coach somewhere?
He galvanized Auburn.
Damn, that's right. Shout out to Cadillac.
Yeah, he didn't get the job in the end, which I think a lot of
Didn't he get another job elsewhere though?
Well, no, I think he was kept on as a assistant coach by Hugh Freeze.
Gotcha.
Auburn went in that direction. Yeah.
Feel you. I feel you.
Cadillac was praised, I think, for turning, I don't know what the right phrasing is, converting a lot of players to Christianity during his.
Of course.
So that whole thing was going on. Anyway, Seahawks limited participants in practice. Ryan Neal with a knee injury and Noah Fant with a knee injury. I think they'll both. Neal being a limited participant suggests he's coming back, which again, that's pretty big. He's really making a push to play. He's been a non-participant for a while. Tomorrow's practice report will be big to see if he'll be able to suit up. Abram's been fine, but he is kind of perpetually always beating coverage in a way that Kyle Shanahan will exploit. So maybe it will click for him, but he kind of he's ultra aggressive and handsy and sort of beat deep quite a bit. It's like there's windows. And then full participants: Bruce Irvin, Peck, Tyler Lockett, shin, Damian Lewis, ankle, Abraham Lucas, knee, Tariq Woolen, ankle. So great news about Woolen because that looks so serious.
Yeah,
maybe
that
he's
was
just playing
scary.
through like a roll. It looks like maybe it's just like a not that severe twist or strain or something. But
yeah, it was that was a pretty scary moment on Sunday when he went down.
And then the 49ers are blessed with pretty good health. Obviously, Garoppolo is a non-participant. With
why didn't they IR him? Is there like a chance he could come back for like the NFC Championship or Super Bowl or something like that?
There must be.
But like, why would they? I mean, like, wouldn't they just roll with Purdy at this point?
Helping in the quarterback room, like.
Yeah, but couldn't he still do that if he was on IR?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
that's weird. That's weird.
And then cornerback Ambry Thomas didn't participate with an ankle injury, and then he had a few limited participants, but they'll all play.
They're all gonna play. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you like Christian McCaffrey's been limited the last couple of practices, but yeah, he's playing. Like.
Yeah. So there you go. Hopefully, Seattle's more positive injury report continues.
It'd be nice if they can get Ryan Neal back.
Yeah, cool. I think that would be pretty big for the defense. Right. So around the league tie, we had the dark Monday, the firings and the departures. Yep. And as it pertains to the NFC West, there was 2 big moves from 2 other teams around the division. Firstly, the Cardinals fired Cliff Kingsbury, head coach, and general manager Steve Keim, where there was that weird story which came out of their Mexico trip, and then he was placed on a leave of absence for his health. He stepped down. So they've cleaned house in the front office, which is remarkable given the contracts that they gave to these guys. Like,
Kingsbury is under contract through 2027. I think Keim is as well, or 2028 for Keim. Yeah.
So that's a big payout. So Bidwell clearly, I mean, I don't know how Keim stepping down affects his compensation, but
true.
I know he's kind of friends with Bidwell, right? But that's a big payout. And kind of what a mess, what an absolute mess in Arizona.
Yeah.
They just do not seem like a well-run team. What's the plan here?
Well, they've requested to interview Sean Payton, but that's going to take draft picks to trade for him. So now you're giving up future capital when they really need to replenish that roster for a coach who, Sean Payton's a good coach, don't get me wrong, but like still coach.
Yeah. And it was 10 months ago, Ty, that they extended Cliff and Keim. It's just nuts. And in their history, which is an over 100-year-old franchise, the Cardinals, obviously they weren't always in Arizona, but the Cardinals as a franchise have never had a head coach, any head coach, last longer than 6 years with the team.
That's insane. That's like, and I mean, like, I think that they did need to make a change because it was pretty clear that Cliff lost that locker room and he lost Kyler. I mean, like, Kyler is like talking back to him like on the field and whatnot. Like, that's not like, you can't have that.
Oh, and they were awful, by the way. Don't
they
get
were
that.
awful.
Don't be mistaken. Like they were one of the worst teams. Like you watch the tape, it looks like they're trying to lose at times. Like they're bad. So something had to happen, but it's just a mess.
Yeah, that just seems like a lack of control there, and a lack of culture, honestly. So, for their sake, I mean, like obviously for us, like I hope that they lose forever. But for their sake, hopefully they can find someone that can build a culture there and get Kyler on the right track, and we'll see. But yeah, man, if it ends up being Sean Payton, like I'm sure he'll help turn things around a little bit. But in terms of just like assets, like if they're giving up assets for him, I don't know what that's going to look like and how much that's going to take away from their future. So they better be right, because they're probably not going to be able to get out of another contract.
Right. And like Peyton's interesting. Like I think, he's been linked with Denver as well, because it's, obviously he worked with Drew Brees and he's a shorter quarterback. And so Russell Wilson, also a well-known shorter quarterback. So is Kyler Murray. But like Brees had really, really clever ability to find, like, despite his height, he would hang in pockets and move up in the interior of the pocket and find lanes that he shouldn't have been able to given his height. Russell doesn't do that. Kyler Murray definitely doesn't do that. So that would be an adaptation for Peyton. I remember he was on air and during his brief spell as a broadcaster, and he said about how he'd move the pocket for Russell Wilson, which is it's like very basic analysis. I mean,
we've heard that before.
He's doing his job, but there's only so much that you can do. It'd be interesting to see. I'm sure he'd have his gadget plays and all that stuff, but the Kyler Murray's an interesting one because it's like, can he be salvaged coming off a really serious injury? Hasn't really learned how to play within the structure of like an NFL offense yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but it's kind of a mess. There's definitely selling points on that team, but there's also a lot of more than the selling points. There's a lot of concerns you'd have if you were interviewing to be a head coach there.
Yeah. So,
and then,
so the McVay stuff. You
want
to get into that? Yeah.
Yeah. So then the other news is Sean McVay hasn't made a decision on his future, but like a lot of Rams fans were saying that his post-game press conference after the Seahawks Week 18 defeat was him looking kind of checked out, and he only gave like a 3-minute presser. I don't know what's normal for him, but that he's just seemed to want to get out of there, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported that McVay's allowed his coaching staff to search for other jobs without resistance per sources, even if it's a lateral move. It came out, even if it's a lateral move. So, if he's an assistant going to go be an assistant somewhere else, he's fine with it. He won't block that kind of opportunity next year, which therefore suggests that McVay, who's had question marks about his future since winning the Super Bowl last year, it's like, is he going to come back? Is he not? There's also stuff about Aaron Donald retiring, Matt Stafford. Aaron Donald didn't play in Week 18. Stafford said he'll be back. And McVay, the murmurings have come up again that he's going to retire. He's done with it. He needs a sabbatical. And obviously there was talk, again, going back to last year, about how much money he'd get paid as a broadcaster, become the new, hopefully not problematic John Gruden, that kind of instance. And it seems like he's worn down by it. Also, as has been pointed out, McVay lost his grandfather earlier in the year, and his wife's family is literally from Ukraine and in a war zone right now. So there's a lot going on there as well, like in his personal life, which we don't know much of, but you can sort of color in between the lines, right? So yeah, that's would be a huge loss, because obviously McVay's a brilliant coach. He almost got Pete again in Week 18. One of the best play designers and best play callers that I've seen, and his ability to adapt his quarterback and the talent in his offense each year, just superb. An absolute nightmare for the Seahawks. Very rare that Pete Carroll got the best of him, especially from an offense versus defense standpoint. So that would be a huge loss for the NFL and the NFC West. Although a big positive for Seattle in the sense that whoever the Rams turn to is not going to be as talented as McVay. It's a very, very difficult job to replace him. There's an argument that you'd go and get like a defensive whiz kid or whatever because just the offensive vacuum is just so great. And then Ty, they once you remove McVay from the equation, and nothing is certain, but all of the signs are pointing towards it being over with him. Then it's like, well, the Rams' bold strategy with Les Snead as general manager was going all the heck in a way that we've rarely seen in the NFL, right? Like they took it to the max. And what's the future of the team? Like,
well, and that's part of the reason that McVay probably doesn't want to be there, right? Is that you're looking at a multi-year rebuild, because when's even the next time that they have a first round pick? Like 2 years from now? Like they're going to have a really hard time with all the money that they have committed and the lack of draft capital to replenish their roster, to rebuild their roster in any sort of way. So they're just kind of going to have to eat it a little bit. I mean, but if it gets to a point where McVay leaves, Donald retires, do they start to consider trading, Jalen Ramsey? Do they consider trading Cooper Kupp? I don't know, what those situations look like and if that's even plausible with their contracts right now, but that I mean, that's one way to get back assets, but this is going to be a long-term thing for them, it seems. So, I mean, the plan ultimately worked because they got a championship out of it, right? So, you can't really fault them too much. But now, you kind of have to pay the price of that potentially.
Yeah.
So
it's just a philosophical decision that they're probably aware of it's a risk down the line. They got their Super Bowl out of it, and they also reached another Super Bowl before that when I don't know if they were going quite as in, but with Jared Goff when they had him on a rookie contract, so there's no need to go quite as in. But yeah, that's a tough one, and it's the reason why Seattle and John Schneider, they make some home run swings and they miss a tiny bit as well, but they have openly said that they never want to be in a position where, as a front office, they've put a team in a year of complete decline and ruin, as the Saints sometimes get in as well with their cap management and their aggression.
Well, and the Seahawks kind of did that in 2021 with the lack of draft picks, right? And then they didn't really hit on the draft picks. Stone Forsythe didn't really play. Trey, played really well when he did play, but he got hurt, and then D hasn't really worked out. So, and those were their only 3 picks. So I think they also see that, and go, we don't want to ever be in that position again. Because that was just kind of a lost year in terms of adding, talent, which would have been really valuable considering, the heel turn here this year. So
yeah, then the roster, it is pretty notable that they are missing that kind of class. As much as they said that COVID made it a weird year, which I'm sure it did, but
there were still a lot of quality players that got drafted out of that class, so and
that was Cope.
Yeah, but that's what makes 2023 so important. For this draft is really it's kind of it's rounding this thing out really and adding the rest of that missing young talent that they just completely avoided in 2021.
And circling this back to the Rams and also looking at Seattle's past draft class, those kind of day 3 supplementary picks are really what builds the team. The Rams had great stars, but their ability to then draft the kind of role players in the back end of it was big. And obviously Seattle is looking like, old style Seattle drafting with their day 3 kind of picks. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this draft, this 2022 draft is going to go down as one of their best, if not they're the best, even, compared to 2012 because of just the sheer volume of guys, of quality players that they've added this year. And so, we'll see how it ages over the next few years. But what do you got pulled up there?
So we on the subject of coaches being hired and fired and all of that stuff, we got a question midweek from at True Analytics, who they asked, Are you guys surprised it's only Sean Desai and the coaching staff who's been requested for an interview with another team so far? I felt like Shane Waldron might get interest, but not seen any links so far. That's a very interesting question, because the news is that Sean Desai got requested for interview by the Cleveland Browns for their defensive coordinator position after they fired Joe Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can break that down in different parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the Desai thing is a different kind of factor going on here. Because it's interesting. We don't know the exact situation, but you can kind of guess what's going on. You can read in between the lines again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Seattle's defensive struggles this season have been sort of moving to this like 2-4 even front world on defense, where they've struggled with the run fits and players have struggled with what they're asking of them. Then mid-season, they went back to more bare fronts and playing more aggressive and more power stepping, less mirror stepping, 1.5 to like sort of 2 gapping almost. And then they're back running 4-2, 2-4 fronts. Well, Desai ran these 2-4, 4-2 fronts loads in Chicago in 2021, to the point that like he did it against Rashad Penny, remember? And Penny went off, and they just still stayed in 2 high, 2-4, 4-2 kind of looking deals, nickel fronts. So you can glean that was his main influence on this defensive system. Seattle's sort of corrected a few things, but the way they're doing it now is more with like 1 high safety, middle field closed, and honestly, it looks very much like their defensive scheme from 2010 to 2019, before the bare front became a thing, where they're a base under team with a bit of over. Okay, it's now technically with more like actual 3-4 personnel, 2 stand-up edges, and then down the line, they're when they get into nickel, they're like nickel over cover 3 with a tiny bit of middle field open stuff. So Desai's influence is I don't know how much he's been heard, so maybe he'd want out on that. He may also just want the opportunity to call plays after years as an associate head coach. But a lot of the year for the Seahawks defense, I'm describing a lot of chopping and changing. It's like they've run 3 defenses in 1 year. That suggests like philosophical, technical, schematic conflict, confusion, uncertainty among the coaching staff, and then transferring that onto the players as well. So I don't know. So am I surprised about Desai getting an interview? No. I know you said only Desai Crew Analytics, and we'll get to that, but
no, because like he does have a reputation, good reputation around the league, it seems. So it makes sense that someone would be interested in him for that kind of job, because right now he's not a play caller. So teams know that they can probably pry him away with a better position than what he currently has, because Seahawks probably aren't going to move off of Clint Hurt to give him to give Desai a play calling job. So if he can find that elsewhere, then he's probably going to take it, if I had to assume. And we've had the conversation on here about too many cooks and all that with Pete and Clint and Sean, and even guys like Carl Scott. So maybe it's an addition by subtraction in a way, and just not having that too many conflicting voices, right? And that's nothing, and that's not to say like anything against like Sean Desai or Clint Hurt or anyone. It's just when you have a lot of conflicting voices, when you have a lot of differing opinions coming at you all at once, like things can get out of hand pretty quickly there. So
and we should say like they have raved about the players in the off season, in particular the preseason stuff. The DBs like Quandre Diggs, for instance, they raved about Sean Desai's teaching and the coaching that he was giving them, and the new voice that he was. So yeah, it's maybe just not the right fit. We'll see now. But there's definitely a reason for him that we can see for him wanting to leave, other than the opportunity to go and call plays. So there's like sort of 2 big things, I'd say. Now, are we surprised that it's only Desai and the coaching staff who's been requested for an interview with another team? And you mentioned Shane Waldron. Yeah, I guess, because if you revisit our podcast from early in the season, we're saying Waldron's a lock to be gone, Ty.
Yeah, we were just like, yeah, he's out. But the offense has regressed a little bit, and he's had some. I mean, we talked about it, right? Like, you didn't like the way that he called the San Francisco game. Obviously, this game was not great either, from a play calling standpoint. It seemed. I feel like maybe that's cooled off a little bit on Waldron. So I don't know if he'll get any like head coach opportunities, because that would be the only next step that he could take, since he's already calling plays in Seattle, unless he just wants to change the scenery. Maybe a team like Houston comes calling after, they inevitably don't get Sean Payton, but also, who wants the Houston job after they've fired, 2 coaches after one season in the midst of a rebuild, when they're definitely going to suck no matter who's the head coach, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. There's a lot
we
more.
We don't have to worry about that.
We don't have to worry about that.
That's a whole different problem.
That's a really disgusting situation. That's all I'll say about that. Anywho, I don't really see Waldron getting many head coaching opportunities this offseason, just kind of with the way that the second half has gone. And again, we just haven't heard about him. So, and usually you would hear things like, even just people that have sources just kind of throw his name out there, just to, like, keep an eye on him, and keep an eye on Shane Waldron, or whatever.
Carl Scott's name has been mentioned and rumored. I think, not suggesting this happens. This is exactly what's happened with Carl Scott, but with other coaches and like the names which come about now, that's murmurings around the league. That's agents talking to teams, that's agents doing the work to get their client's name out there, but it's also teams, saying who they're interested in. Like, the fact there's been no talk about Waldron is, it's kind of indicative. I mean, and what's an actual promotion for him? Well, maybe next year he's made an associate head coach if Pete Carroll feels that that's the move, but like, an actual promotion for him other than that really would be to be a head coach, and he hasn't had any of that talk. Now, also, the fact that
one idea real quick just popped in my head. Maybe he goes to LA. Maybe he's willing to take on that if McVay leaves, right? Go back.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You're right. That could be the one situation. But the fact that, like, Pete, I mean, with Waldron, I was wondering if he was going to be in danger, because the lulls in the offense have been like a repeated thing where just the offense as a whole just cannot execute in certain elements of the game, particularly like there's like second half periods where it all just goes to crap, and it's like, why is this happening? And at a certain point, there's that happened with Russell Wilson as quarterback, happened with Geno Smith as quarterback. With the Geno stuff, like, there's not much on the tape where I'm like, Geno didn't execute this play properly. Like, the process is fine. He's just, guys aren't open, guys aren't executing, that kind of stuff. Well, then at a certain point, a play caller does come under fire. I think, though, Pete's comments after the season, when they didn't know if they're making the playoffs or not, about how the system is so quarterback friendly and how he's a big fan of the system, they suggest that Waldron's fine and safe. And it's not ideal that it seems like Pete had to step in to get them to run the football and to sort of, okay, our pass protection is struggling, we're struggling in these areas, we're turning the ball over a bit too much, we're taking a few too many sacks, we need to really get back into the run game and try and get a chemistry going because we're broken there. It's not ideal that he clearly, well, from the outside, it seems obvious that he stepped in to make that happen in the second half of the Kansas City Chiefs game. But nevertheless, it seems like Waldron's fine, and maybe an associate head coach promotion comes with that. Maybe it's not needed. I don't know how all that works, but I don't think Waldron, realistically, his second half of the season, despite the way that Geno Smith is comeback player of the year, unless DeMar Hamlin gets that, but Geno Smith on the season is the comeback player of the year. So, even with that, and even with, the first half was brilliant, but the second half has kind of gone to crap a bit, and hopefully they can bounce back for the playoffs. But I'm not surprised that Waldron's not getting interest based on the whole body of work for the season. No surprises from me. But that Rams idea, Ty, is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's one, because, like, again, it's going to have to take someone that knows that they're going to have to kind of undergo a really long rebuild period and just kind of try to make the most of it. So that's not going to be a really attractive spot for a lot of people. Obviously, getting to coach in LA and all that has its advantages, of course, but just the situation overall, it's not like your record's not going to look pretty. Like if you're a coach trying to kind of build your resume, like it's probably not going to go well for you because there's just not a lot of opportunities to add talent right now in LA. So yeah, maybe that's an opportunity where someone like Shane Waldron, who typically wouldn't get a head coaching opportunity, becomes an option there. But we'll see.
So Quandre Diggs-Ty was named NFC Defensive Player of the Week for Week 18 after his interception versus Baker Mayfield and the Rams.
How many Player of the Weeks did the Seahawks end up with this year from rookies?
That would be good to know, Ty, wouldn't it?
That would be Stat Boy. See, and that's why you'll always be Stat Boy and not Stat Man.
I have the night off. I've got all this other stuff.
Yeah, but they've had quite a few. They've had quite a few.
He's the third Seahawks player to earn Defensive Player of the Week honors.
Okay,
and the fifth player to earn Player of the Week honors.
Only the fifth? No, that can't be right. Because there's also like offensive like Rookie of the Week and like Geno's won Player of the Week at least once. Kenneth Walker's been Rookie of the Week. Like Tariq Woolen's been Rookie of the Week a couple times.
Would you like me to read it all out?
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
Uchenna Nwosu, Week 1 Defensive Player of the Week. Tariq Woolen, Week 6 Defensive Player of the Week.
Okay.
Geno Smith, Offense, Week 4 Offensive Player of the Week. Will Dissly, Special Teams, Week 8 Player of the Week. Geno, NFC Offensive Player of the Month for October. Woolen and Kenneth Walker III, NFL Defensive and Offensive Rookies of the Month honors in October.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was thinking about. They don't do Rookie of the Week. They do Rookie of the Month. That's right. See, I'm a dum-dum.
That's all good.
All right.
And Walker's up for FedEx Ground Player of the Week this week, but he won that in Week 7.
Matty, he was also named the Fantasy Rookie of the Year by ESPN. Do you know that?
No, that seems odd. Was he that good? I had him on my team. I
had him on my team. Yeah, I mean he's pretty good. I mean, like the Chargers game, obviously, like he popped off. Didn't he pop off in like the Giants game or something like that? I think he put up like 20-something points in the Giants game. He had a couple of like big weeks, so it makes sense. I mean, there weren't like a lot of good like fantasy producers, like rookie fantasy producers this year, like Chris Olave.
Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson for sure, especially in the second half.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
And then another Seahawk was mentioned in some sort of end of season style honors. The NFL players released their All-Pro team, which is pretty damn solid, other than the inclusion of Aaron Donald is very much a respect vote, given he missed 6 games this year. No, by no means his best year, but like it is also Aaron Donald. But like, Quinn and Williams had like a great year, for instance. So
like I gotta wonder, like with this, like how much like are these like the players that actually voted in this thing? How much are they actually watching these guys?
With that said, though, Ty, like the rest of it is kind of they nailed it. I'd say
that's crazy.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, like how much is like a wide receiver who's voting in this like watching Dexter Lawrence?
Maybe they only ask against like I don't know how the process works.
It's like, all right, offensive lineman, you vote for the defensive line guys and other offensive linemen or something. I don't know. Maybe it's like that.
Well, the NFL Players Association did explain the voting process.
Ooh.
Only active NFL players can vote, and they get only 1 vote. If a player missed 5 or more games as of Week 15, then they are ineligible. So Donald almost missed out. This is to ensure that they're choosing the best players who had the most impact this season. Being available counts. Players cannot vote for themselves or for their own teammates. Players vote for the position group they play in and line up against. For example, so there you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
For example, centers can vote for the best center in the league, the best nose tackle in the league, the best interior defensive lineman in the league, the best off-ball linebacker in the league.
Gotcha. All right, cool. All right, so they do account for that.
We had each various player leaders from each team nominate their 2 best special teams players or core teamers for the ballot. We wanted the locker rooms to decide who should represent their team in that position. And on the
they
subject,
actually put a lot of thought into that.
They did. And on the subject of special teams, the only Seahawk represented in this is kicker Jason Myers, who makes the team despite his miss in Week 18. He was very good on the year. Good for him.
Yeah, only missed 3 kicks, I think, in the entire year. I don't know about extra points, but I think he was like 34 or 37. And and he made, I think he was 5 of 6 or 6 of 6 from 50 plus this year. So he had a really good year as far as kickers go. And, with all pro, right? Like that also takes in, the AFC into account. So like to be able to beat guys like Justin Tucker, like that's pretty big for you as a kicker. I don't know what kind of year Tucker had. Maybe he had a down year by his standards, but like, you think of some of the names that are in this league in terms of kickers. That's a pretty big accomplishment for Jason Myers. So good for him. Congratulations.
Yeah, and just to put into context how tough this trip to the 49ers is, they're represented. So left tackle Trent Williams makes the team.
He's a
fullback
monster.
Kyle Juszczyk makes the team, which he is one of the few fullbacks, and he is a great fullback. So there you go, and he's used in a very good way. Then edge rusher Nick Bosa made the team. Off-ball linebacker Fred Warner made the team as well. So they're stacked. We knew that they were stacked. It is what it is. Their offense is still nuts now that it's healthy. Like I don't Purdy makes the throws that he needs to, but like you've got Kittle, Juszczyk, McCaffrey with Mitchell backing up, which isn't bad. Then Deebo Samuel and Ayuk. Like
you're not making me feel very good about Saturday right now.
No. That's fine.
I thought this was the Cope show, Matty. Oh right, that's right. The 1/3 of us that actually copes is not here though, so this is not the Cope show.
Yeah. There you go. Very good point. Anyway, that is the end to the show. Please like the video. We've had a lot of people in here. It's we appreciate that. Magnificent stuff. Comment if you haven't already. There are donation links. Don't feel obliged.
Like the video. Wait, how many likes do we have? We need to check this.
We should have done this earlier. There are also donation links where there's a Stripe thing, which all the donations get shared evenly, thirdly between us. But you don't feel obliged. What you should feel obliged is like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening, 5-star reviews, please. We're still getting them, and they're very nice to read. Thank you very much. Follow the Twitter at Seattle Overload. Follow Ty at Dane Gunzelers. Follow me at Matty F. Brown. Follow the podcast at Seattle Overload. Ty, how many likes have we got?
So there's 25 of you watching right now. We only have 16 likes, so 9
not
of
good
you.
Enough.
9 of you that are watching have not liked the video. Yeah,
that's
you're
very cool.
Y'all are tripping right now. So like the video. Do that right now. Fix that. And then once you do, subscribe if you haven't already.
Like, subscribe, review, download the podcast, and we appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow with the film podcast, and then we'll be back Saturday. Ty may not be there, but we'll be back Saturday with our live reaction to the Seahawks' amazing victory in San Francisco.
And to be clear, I won't be there because, if it doesn't go well, I might be inconsolable. So
yeah, Ty's soft. Yeah,
I'm soft. I'm scared to compete.
Bye.